quick.
Well, hold up. What time was this supposed to start?
Late now.
15. Okay, so I wasn't that late.
Hey, Dom, I want you to know that the podcast is live, so everyone knows about you taking a dump.
Oh, brilliant.
Wonderful. Do we have a doc? Because I don't know where we're...
I have a doc.
We do, actually. It's in the chat. I
I'm a
pinned it.
doctor. Don't worry, Dom.
Now we just need to do the introduction since Dom is here.
Alright, Ren, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead. You first, sir. You took the dump. You do the intro.
He's not gonna let this go. Anyway, how's it going? Today is another Infinite Ammo Syndicate podcast, IAS Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about the PlayStation 3. My name is BioDevil Dom, that's BioDevil_Dom, and I'm joined by a plethora of guests, so why don't we get Renegade, fried chicken loving operative.
That's
on board
racist.
here. I mean, you like fried chicken, right?
I like chicken sandwiches, but not fried chicken. I'm not going to kill
He's
someone
a liar.
in a driveway. So
Nah, he's lying. I had fried chicken last week.
how's it going, everyone?
After that, we have Mr. Brandel. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Shut the fuck up. I don't know who you people are. I'm sorry. How you guys doing? Alright.
And then followed up by Daybreaker Rain.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And then after that, we have Plantage. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Plantage.
Oh shit, sorry, that's me. I was like, what the fuck? Yo, call me AJ.
AJ, okay, that
Easy.
works.
Plantation or whatever your name is.
Yeah, plantation, you know.
Already off to a
I live in
great
Georgia,
start.
so I think it might work.
Oh god.
Oh, okay.
That works.
Already off to a great start.
After that, we have Zion KH352.
Hi, how's it going? I feel outnumbered.
It's a sausage fest.
And then lastly, we have Red or.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everybody,
Like,
and welcome.
I can't stop laughing.
Like I'm at an AA meeting.
Anyway, to start this podcast off, what is your experience with the PS3 and how did you get introduced to the system?
I had it.
You had it.
That's some good experience. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
for me personally, like I didn't have the PS3 like at launch. I didn't get one until they released the first line of like Slims back in like 2009. And I'm still using that PS3 that I have, so it's been running very well for the past 10 years.
Nice.
Okay, for me, it's kind of a longish story though, but I'll try to keep it brief. Basically, when I move over to the state I'm currently staying in, now I met a guy in middle school. We hooked up, became good friends, and I went to this place. He had a PS3 and 360, but I mostly play on the 360. But eventually, though, I asked him like, what system should I get, a 360 or PS3? Then he showed me the ropes between both systems, the games, the community and whatnot. The Xbox community was toxic, by the way. So it was enough for me to convince me to get a PS3 over a 360, which I glad I did because for starters, online was free and I didn't have the money to continue paying off, Xbox Live Gold. And a lot of the games that I enjoyed playing on PS2 did technically transfer over to the PS3, like God of War, for example, Devil May Cry and whatnot. So, it was a good deal for me at the end.
Nice.
And now I'm down with 2 PS3s because one is like red screen, the other one is fried. So
Oh. Well,
Yeah,
fuck.
I remember when Thor fried your PS3. That was a sad.
yeah, fuck
day.
Thor. Oh yeah, that's my life story. Who's next?
Yo, I go. Basically, back in the day, as a little baby boy, I couldn't afford it, so my dad got one. It played DVDs. It played Blu-ray, so it's like, oh yeah, I can get this family console. It was pretty good. We played like a bunch of shitty FPSs on it most of the time.
Hey.
That's probably about it. I didn't want an Xbox. I didn't like the Xbox. I never liked the Xbox, so PS3 all the way for me.
We got some slander here. All right. I like this. I like this a lot.
Don't let Bane hear you.
I wasn't gonna bring that up. All right, so I guess I can go real quick.
Why?
I got the PS3 like very, very late. I think mine was like still $400, so that's still pretty steep. I remember the first game I played was Grand Theft Auto 4, and I just remember playing that shit for like 2 weeks straight. That game was very addicting. Same for Metal Gear Solid 4 as well. I continued to get more games and just continued to watch stuff like G4 TV. You know, they showed a lot of games. They showed a lot of E3 presentations. I got into Assassin's Creed by watching them, and I started getting more and more games, and I became more enticed with the system. I think it was a good system, but it did have its flaws, but we're going to talk about that later in the document. So anyone else?
Who's next?
I can go.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So basically, my brother owned a PS3 because I actually never owned one for myself. I usually just played with my brother or when I went over to a friend's house. And he had friends over, and basically he was obsessed with FIFA at the time because that was an amazing game to play. And eventually, I, being the little brother, seeing everyone else play, I'm like, hey, I want to play that. And my brother gave me a chance, and I won. And I was so happy that I beat all these older kids at this game they've been playing for like 2 hours. And then as I got older, I realized they were letting me win. And that was a very depressing time.
Oh man.
Heartbreaking moment.
Oh.
Yeah, that was basically how I got introduced to the PlayStation.
Man, your brother's nice, man. I would have showed you.
I guess I'll go. I've been through how many PS3s? I had a really nice white one that my grandfather got me. And Kingdom Hearts 2 never left that system, so the game ended up breaking, as well as the system, the disc part was all fried and everything. So that died. What else? I had, what was it? I think I still have a Slim. It's not hooked up.
Do you remember which model?
It,
do you remember which model is it for your Slim?
When was my first game? I think my very first game for it was what was my first game for it? I want to say it was Kingdom Hearts, but I don't think it was on the PS3 first. I think it was on the PS2 as first.
Was the collection ever on the PS3, or am I going crazy?
That's what it started. On the
I'm trying to. Was Kingdom Hearts 1 on PS3 first?
No, it was on The Kingdom Hearts started on PS2, and then the HD version is on PS3.
I don't know. It was either Kingdom Hearts or Star Ocean, and I played the crap out of that as well, which possibly also led to my system breaking down. Because my games never leave the systems half the time. So, yeah. I don't really remember exactly. I just know that I got addicted to it very quickly.
You know, actually, I got a random question. Like, it's a little off topic, though. Have you guys had a game you played so much that the disc actually got damaged just from playing it?
Grand Theft Auto Vice City. That disc has gone into the ether after I put in so many cheats, and it is actually destroyed right now in my closet. I had to buy a new one.
Damn.
Mine was Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
I haven't
Played-
personally had that happen to me, but like one of the games that like kind of fucked up my PS2 was Dynasty Warriors 6, like the PS2 version. I couldn't play any of my games after loading that version in. I'm not sure if that's specific to that version of the game or not, but I do know that the engine that they were using for that particular game was more meant for, at the time, what was current gen, the PS3 and 360, and not for like previous gen.
Damn.
For me, it was Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. I played that so much to the point where the seal, when you pop the disc in, it was cracking. And now there's a big split in the disc, so it's like a Pac-Man disc.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you know, but what really started it off was my virtual data got corrupted, so I had to start fresh, which it wasn't a big deal because, you know.
Fun.
Yeah, but, you know, it wasn't a big deal. I got everything back in within like a week, so. Yeah, I know life.
So is everyone done before we move on to question number 2?
No, I haven't got to go yet. So, so my introduction to the PS3 was my older brother at the time was working at the local GameStop, and he was a very early adopter of like one of the first like fat model PS3s, the one that had like the SD card and the PSP card slots and all the snazziness, like with the PS2 backwards compatibility. So the first game I ever remember seeing on the system was Genji Days of the Blade. I think that was one of the launch titles. And kind of from there, I was interested, but I wasn't really committed to getting a system yet. Like I was a very late adopter. I think the Slims were already out, but the first model I ever got was the 40 gig fat model. That one, unfortunately, suffered the yellow light of death. So that one bit the dust. And then my brother sold me his 60 gig model. Same thing happened to that one. And that happened during the infamous PlayStation Network hack that took over for like, God, I think that was like 3 months where the network was down while they were trying to resolve it. It feels like it was a long time, but you know,
It really was a long time.
My perception of time was very weird when I was younger. So, and then when I was working at a media store here in town, I picked up a Slim, and I've had that Slim ever since.
Nice. Anyone else? Oh. All right, I guess we can move on to question number 2. So, it was during this era that Sony tried to experiment with crazy things like a $600 price tag and cell processing, which created development hurdles for game directors. Did Sony bounce back in the long run despite their shortcomings?
Oh, yes, they did. No, 2009, 2010, that was their point when they took off and actually beat the 360. Albeit by maybe a tiny margin, but it was still enough that they actually came in second place.
Yeah.
Overall.
Didn't back then they had like Last of Us and Uncharted and all these other exclusives?
Yeah, from 2010 to 2013, it was like God of War 3, Last of Us, Uncharted 2 and 3, and what else?
I think it was Infamous 2 back then.
Yeah, Infamous 2.
Yep.
Well, that was on Naughty Dog, wasn't it? With Uncharted, with Last of Us. Because they were working with that new the core, right? The cell processor that got to know how to use it pretty well.
They know it. Yeah, they know how to use it pretty well to a point where they pretty much like slap developers in the face, tell them like do this, and you get the game working fine.
I feel like they had to because their first launch, honestly, it was a failure. Like, that price was way too much, and the fact that a lot of third-party games work better on the 360, that kind of put like a block on Sony, and they had to figure out how to get back from that. And the only way they could do that is by making all these exclusive games that came out like late in the life cycle.
I think with like the price tag in particular, like that was really interesting to see because like they were charging like 600, and I think it was like a lot of people were saying that it was mostly due to the fact that they were trying to add in like the backwards compatibility features for both PlayStation.
It was
1
the
and 2.
Blu-ray drive and the backwards compatibility that ate up the cost. So that's why they scrapped the backwards compatibility with the PS2, because being that it was still in circulation at the time, it would of course eat up a lot of pricing.
Yeah, because I remember like like I said, I got my PS3 back in 2009. So I was about to say 2019. That would have been weird, but yeah. Still running the same one that I have been, and I've only done like 2 upgrades on it as far as like hard drive capacity goes. And if anybody's looking into doing like upgrades on your PS3, definitely get a 1 terabyte hard drive or solid state hybrid drive, just because or probably solid state hybrid drive, just so that you could get better performance out of it. But that's beside the point. So it's a system that went like, because I remember I was like maybe like 9 or 10 when they were first talking about the PS3 and it being like $600-$700 or whatever, and they were also showing like those fucking boomerang controllers that people wanted.
I remember those.
But it was interesting as I was growing up and going through like high school and stuff like that, how it went from that like $600-$700 price range all the way down to like near the end of its life cycle of about like $200 to $250, depending on the bundle and the hard drives capacity on it. So I mean, they took a pretty big cut over time, but I think it was like definitely worth it. Granted, I'm still kind of salty about them cutting off the PS2 backwards compatibility, but price wise, like if anybody really wanted to get into the PS3, it became a lot more affordable over time, especially if you didn't mind having to deal with a smaller storage capacity, or if you were considering upgrading it regardless. Now, as far as like the cell processing is concerned, as far as I'm aware, if developers did take the time to actually learn how to develop around the PS3, they were able to take advantage of the hardware, but most developers just didn't want to do it.
And here's one good developer that actually did it though. Ironically, Kojima. Because if you play Metal Gear Solid 4, though, you won't deny that it actually runs really good and it looks really good. So he's probably one of the few at the time that actually was willing to learn how the architecture worked, and it paid off.
Isn't that one of the few games that does run at 1080p?
I don't remember.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention at the resolution at the time, but Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 on PS3 actually runs at 1080p.
Yeah, because I know there's like only a select handful of games that run at 1080p because most developers opted for 720. So, did anybody else want to go, or?
I have a little funny story. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go for it.
Oh, all right. Well, so I remember when we got our PS3, it was really for the family, but my brother wanted what was it? I don't know. I think it was Rock Band or something, and we got it for the family. And my dad played a really cruel joke on my brother when he actually got it, because he actually got it. He got it from, I guess, somebody he knew that already had one, so he sold it to him a little bit cheaper. And when he got it, first he told my brother that he didn't have it, and he goes, "I don't know, I'm not really sure, I don't know where it went," and we were all upset. And then he goes, "Oh, there's something outside," and it was the PS3 outside on the front steps in like a trash bag, like just kind of hiding it from everybody till like the last minute.
He should have did that thing where people prank kids and they give them like the empty box.
Oh, that would have been horrible.
Like, I hate that so much that parents do that.
My parents do the famous put a box within a box within a box thing.
Oh my god, I hate that too.
Man, it could be worse. You could have made a fake PS3 and just beat the crap out of it.
Oh.
Well, where it's like empty. Damn, why is it not so
Here's
heavy?
your PS3.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
It's like, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, and a Happy New Year. Oh, that is too funny. But anyone else went on question number 2? I just got back.
I just wanted to comment on something that Dom had brought up, was the boomerang controllers. I still wish those had actually happened, because for the angry gamer, it would have been the only controller that you could throw that came back to you.
That's a good one, actually.
Great.
But
how about we have Oh, did you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say I was kind of happy that they did initially keep the whole regular DualShock design for the DualShock 3. After a
Yeah,
while,
absolutely.
they were like, yeah, let's just revert this back to something that people know and love, so they kind of kept it. But it does suck that I think it's a question later in the document that they didn't have like vibration at first, and we had this stupid 6-axis garbage that was really annoying.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had if you wanted like vibration in your controller, you had to rebuy the DualShock 3, which sucked. But you can go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since we're pretty much all wrapped up on question number 2, why don't we have Daybreaker read off number 3?
Sure, no problem. What do you think all the unique designs that the PlayStation 3 offered? What do you think of all the unique designs that the PlayStation 3 offered cosmetically? So the fat, the slim, and the super slim. For me, I prefer the slims. The super slims I didn't really care for. I didn't like the overall aesthetic of them. I thought that they were just like oddly too small for a system, and I didn't really care for the whole sliding tray. Like I felt that was like, even though I'm a bit retro when it comes to my systems and stuff like that, I really dig the retro stuff. Like I just didn't really care for that. Like in a modern system, it was just so much nicer just to have like an automatic tray that you just slid the disc in and then it popped out as accordingly instead of having to actually put it down on the tray. But I will say that at least with the Super Slims, there was a variety and a plethora of colors that you could get and choose from. There was like the God of War Red Edition. There was that Midnight Blue color. I think there was one for Uncharted. There was like a couple different white variants. Yeah, like
Yep.
but with the fat model, there was a couple different ones. Like I know that there was like a gunmetal color for like Metal Gear Solid 4, and then I think that there was one for like Final Fantasy 13. I don't know if they were still making the fat models around that time. That might have been a slim. But yeah, like for the fat and the original slim line, it was really down to like controller colors was really the only customization you could really get in terms of visual aesthetic. But the super slim sort of remedied that. So I'll give it that. But I do know that like the super slim, I think, had like less hardware capacity than like the older models. Like it cut some of the features back. Like I always heard that the online browser didn't really work. Well, it didn't work well in general, but that like it just was absolutely garbage in the super slim. Like it was almost impossible to use the online browser for anything.
I can contest to this though because I only had a fat and super slim. The fat had a better internet browser overall though, because certain features did load slower than the fat model though, but overall the quality of life for the slim was much better, all things considered.
Oh,
Super
absolutely.
Slim.
Yeah.
But and for as like cosmetically, like for the aesthetics though, the slim was probably the best one. It was most sleek, style they had though, especially when you have it in different colors though, like white or red. Like it was like the definitive PS3 for me, in my opinion, in terms of looks. So, but yeah, I was the one with the top loader PS3, the super slim. So I only had the black
The
consoles of color.
So I've had the fat model and I've had the regular slim. The fat model I was kind of gypped out of because I bought it under the assumption that it was one of those PS2 backwards compatible consoles.
Oh.
Turns out it wasn't, and that's what
You didn't like look at the information, I'm assuming?
I did actually, and the seller tried to fucking gyp me out of it, and then they wouldn't even offer me a fucking partial refund. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just keep it. I'll just keep it because I was like, you know what? This was at the time where I didn't really know how to like swap out hard drives and stuff like that. I've done it so much at this point where like it's like easy for me now, and I've helped out a couple of people in the group do that. But I ended up keeping it, and eventually what I ended up doing with that PS3 was I gave that one to my brother, and I did upgrade that one from I believe it was a 20 gig model, and I upgraded that from 20 gigs up to 500 gigs, if I'm not mistaken. So, some more hard drive capacity on that one at least. But the Super Slim I've never had, but I considered buying at one point, and the only reason why I kind of like the Super Slim is just because of the fact that if something were to happen where, you know, the disc gets stuck in the disc tray, you could slide that shit open and get the disc out. Whereas with the fat and slim models, you have to literally take apart your fucking console just to get your disc out if something were to happen.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So that is one thing. That is one thing I will give the Super Slim. Now, as far as like aesthetics are concerned, as far as I'm aware, Japan had a lot of different color variants for all three versions of the PS3, especially the Slim and Super Slim. Although, if I'm not mistaken, they were releasing more Slims in Japan than Super Slims. I think like one of the Tales games or two of the Tales games had like two different like PS3 editions, and then there was also like a Final Fantasy 13 Part 2 edition that they had, something like that. But lots of different colors and stuff that made the consoles look unique. I think even Drakengard 3 had one as well, and they would also do like the little like designs with like the game's title on the console, which I always thought was pretty cool.
That's cool.
I'm surprised they didn't do that many designs for the Super Slim outside of the colors, but that's the one I own right now. I thought the Super Slim, it looked fine with the top loader. People complain about it, but like Dom said, the fact that you can get the disc out easily is a godsend. I have opened up my fat PS3 before, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it is quite the hassle with how many screws you need to do to get the disc out. So I'm like, no, this is absolutely crazy. But
it makes it worse, and I don't mean to interject, but it makes it worse with like the PS3s because they would put the sticker over one of the screws that would void your warranty.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh.
So they don't do that with the PS4 because they put the screws underneath and even the PS4 Pro, they put the screws underneath specific like tabs that are underneath your console. Basically little like rubber grommets that keep your console elevated just very slightly. You just pop those open and then the screws are underneath those. But like on the PS3, it's like they put that sticker right there, right in a spot where you either have to split that shit open or tear it off to get
the warranty.
Yep.
It's
There
like
goes your
goodbye
warranty, bitch.
Well, that's your year warranty gone. No more getting another PS3. One thing that I hated too was the fact that the fat PS3 is so goddamn heavy, dude. You're not taking that anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they did a slim model because I'm like, okay, I'm not lugging this anywhere on any trip at all.
Yeah, it worked out pretty great for me because I had the slimline model. You know, when I was doing weeklies here for the FGC community that we had, yeah, I'd always bring my PS3. So yeah, definitely a convenience to have a lighter system.
See, I'm just thinking, PS3, the fat one was always, it's glossy. You get fucking disgusting. You touch it, your hands get grease all over it.
Ugh.
I never like a glossy console. It just looks bad. It always looks bad after a while.
Yeah, like I feel the same way
Scratches
from.
were really bad on it too.
Yeah, the scratches too.
I was
are
gonna
also...
say.
Although I'll tell you one thing though, not to interrupt, the white PS3s, no matter it's like the like my white Slim, yeah. After a while, like that shit started turning gray because, oh boy, you just saw everything.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
You can go. I was just gonna comment on that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like the fingerprints and all that shit. It looks fine from the outset at first, and then after you have it for a while, and you want to throw it in a dumpster or something, it looks a hot mess.
I will say though, getting a white version of a console is always asking for trouble because no matter what you do in the end, it just always looks.
Yeah.
You don't want to touch it after.
Isn't that the same shit that happened to like the SNES? Like after a while, it turned like from white to yellow.
Yeah, and that's because of it's because of the material that they use to make the casing. It's something to do with that, where the material and like the chemical composition of it, like with age, turns yellow. And I think it also does. It also depends on like how like tidy and stuff like the place it's residing is if it's like a cleanly home or a non-cleanly home and things like that. There is though a process to reverse that. There is actually like a chemical, like a liquid solution you could do, like you basically bathe the thing for like 24 hours or something like that.
Oh my
And
god.
it'll actually reverse it. It will reverse it back to the gray
Wow,
color.
I didn't
So
know
it
that.
is fixable, but yeah.
I'm about to try that right now.
It seems like some fucked up shit to say, like, I'm gonna bathe this console, but I'm gonna be in the bath
What are you
with the
doing right now?
console.
Keep my console bath.
I'm gonna go in the bath
I'm gonna
too.
drown my console in this unspecified chemical. On a side
What
note,
could
like
possibly go wrong?
on a side note, I've never had one of the alternate colored PS3s. I've always wanted one, especially like the white ones to me at least have always been really appealing. I did have a white PS4 which I ended up selling to Ren. The only issue with that was that I had accidentally dropped it one time. It was in a bag and so it was protected, but the corner of the hard drive cover on that was slightly like discolored and bent, but I did end up replacing that for him, and he's got like a new hard drive cover on that.
Yeah,
so.
nice going, Dom.
Hey,
Butterfingers.
at least I covered the replacement hard drive cover.
I know, I'm
And,
just
you know,
messing with you.
You know, that was another thing too. I know this is a bit off topic, but they did also have like those alternate hard drive covers with like the game artwork on there, and that was always pretty cool.
yeah.
Like one of the last few ones they did was like Japan exclusive for like Umbrella Corps, and it sucked because like if you wanted the 20th anniversary art for RE to be on your PlayStation 4 hard drive cover, you had to get Umbrella Corps with that. There was no way out of that, so that kind of sucked. But anyway, that's off topic. Let's move on to number 4. What is your favorite PlayStation 3 exclusive? Oof.
Too many lists.
Is this still exclusives or what things that were exclusive back in the day?
I would say things that are still exclusive.
All right, because some things have been ported to like the PS4 or just have been opened up to other places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say look at it as when it first debuted on the PS3. And there's a few, like I said, Infamous 2, I like MGS4.
Yakuza 3.
Yeah. What else? Fuck. There's so many games. It's hard to remember. Resistance.
Little Big Planet. It's a good game. I always forget about that.
Oh yeah.
It really was. It really was.
What else did they have? Holy shit.
I actually have mine. My definitive one, Demon Souls.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, okay, I'm back. What question are we on?
Number 4. What's your
Favorite PS3 exclusive.
Ooh, that's a
I
hard
think
one.
he keeps cutting out a little bit.
That's a hard one.
God of War 3.
That's definitely. Is there God of War 3, Infamous 2, Demon Souls, Uncharted 2?
Oh fuck! I keep forgetting Uncharted 2.
There's also Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid 4. Yeah, I like 4 a lot.
Yeah, it was a very good game.
Yeah, the game where you're old as fuck and you crawl around like you have a broken hip or something. That's always
Chronic
nice.
Pain.
Metal Gear Solid 4, the Arthritis Edition.
Yes.
Ooh. Metal Gear Solid the movie. Arthritis.
Yeah, as much as I like that game, those cutscenes at the end get ridiculous after a while.
Wait, I got a better one. Metal Gear Solid the movie from Arthritis with Love.
Arthritis.
I almost thought you were gonna say Viagra, but let's not go there.
That's a different movie.
Not go there.
There's also they have been ported since, but the Disgaea series had a couple of
Yeah, it was
games
like 3 and
exclusive to the
4.
PS.
I think.
3, 4, and D2.
I think this next one is gonna be easier though. What is your least favorite PlayStation 3 exclusive? And
Actually, that's even harder because so many of them I actually don't either like or care for.
I can give you one right off the bat. Mag.
Oh,
I played that.
The game with foreign promises for like this giant 16-player extravaganza of a first-person shooter, and it failed hard because it lagged so fucking hard. I remember playing the beta, and so many people were like overhyped about this, saying that it was the Halo killer, and I'm like, no, just no. I refuse to accept this.
Well, for the ones that I say I actually played, or at least give a damn about, is let's see. I would say, does remasters count, like ports or whatever?
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
then Killzone 1. But that game didn't age well.
It did not, unfortunately. Like, I played it, and I picked hard mode, and I got to the bridge, and when I saw like 11 Hellgas put a gun up my ass and pulled the trigger, I was like, yeah, I don't like this mode that much. It's not worth it.
Oof.
Also, I can think of one more, SOCOM 4, because they turned it into a bland third-person shooter.
Ren, why you remind me of that? I tried to forget that game actually. Now you reminded me. Yes, that's definitely one.
Was that one of the Slant 6 SOCOM games?
No,
That's a game that that was a
that
game
was done
that
by
killed the
Zipper.
studio.
Yep, it was done by Zipper.
Because I know Slant 6 did like a couple of SOCOM games.
Oh, yes, they did.
With
Confrontation.
the worst one being Confrontation, which ironically enough happens to play very similarly to Operation Raccoon City for anybody who's played that game.
Never played it.
Don't, please don't. Whatever you do. It's literally one of the worst Resident Evil games I ever played, next to Umbrella Corps.
Hey, maybe next April I should buy the other half of the DLC for us so we can go through hell again.
Well, that's the point where I leave the internet. Goodbye, people.
Hey, I mean, last April, well, no, it was 2 Aprils ago, I bought, what is it, Umbrella Corps as an April Fool's joke. It'd be another good April Fool's joke.
I swear, this man Dom, I'm gonna come to his house and like pull the strap on him.
There was one game that I know I absolutely hated it, but I can't for the life of me think of the name of it. All I know is that it was very Japanese, and the English version of it sounded like it was done by a bunch of high college students, and oof.
I don't know why the first thing on my mind is Deadly Premonition. I don't know why.
No, I don't know what it was. I don't really remember, but all I remember is that really terrible voice acting.
I would say for me, because I haven't really played a lot of the exclusives and not liked them, but I was kind of looking at a list because I had to sort of refresh my memory, but one popped up, and I remember it being cool the first time you play it, and then it just loses its aesthetic, the Eye of Judgment for PS3.
Eye of Judgment, I never heard of it.
It
Was it like an iToy game?
It was released with the PlayStation camera. It was packaged in a bundle.
Oh,
There's
God.
a PSP game actually, Eye of Judgment on something. If that was actually a really good game, that was actually fun. But
Never
it
played the
didn't have
PS.
no.
But
Yeah, there was no gimmick at all, which is you playing a card game, beat the opponent like Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. But I don't know what they were trying to do with the PS3 version. It
Real
reminds me
quick,
of that.
Sorry, go ahead.
It reminds me
No,
of
go ahead.
that is, was it Invisimals or whatever, like Invisible Animals IP they had.
yeah, yep.
They had a gimmick with the camera and whatnot.
Yeah, because that was a PSP title, wasn't it? And you had to get in a PSP attachment camera or something like that.
Ew.
Yes.
Didn't the iToy eventually lead to the PlayStation playroom?
More or less, yes. More or less.
I mean,
Sure,
something
let's go with that.
something good came out of it. Next generation. I mean, it might
Although
be. It
you
might be.
could argue
good.
it was more or less something to connect.
Well, I'm
Well, the
not gonna.
Kinect is racist, you know. It doesn't want you to see any other color but white, so
Uh-oh.
we don't talk about the Kinect.
Oof.
Yeah, Dom said it before I said it. So
Look, at least the PlayStation Eye is
camera.
an equal opportunity camera. It's gonna let you see whatever color cock you want to see.
oh yeah.
Why did you immediately go to that? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, hey, like Ren said, the playroom on PlayStation 4 is the porn room, is it not? So
I didn't go into details though.
Well, I mean, well, he's not wrong though. So
I'm dying, man. I can't take this.
Jesus.
I mean,
Camera.
Look, if you,
When that camera came out for the PlayStation 3, I was very upset with it because it ruined my Heavy Rain experience. I was about to platinum that game on PS3, and you can't play this anymore because you need to buy a PlayStation camera or some stupid thing to hook up to it for your motion controls.
Yep,
so,
the move.
Too bad.
I will say though,
Absolutely ruined. I was very upset.
going back to the subject of like bad PS3 games, it's not even necessarily exclusive, but I just remember I played it and I absolutely hated it. This is gonna reveal my age a bit, but since it's the first thing that pops into my mind, Spider-Man: Edge of Time was terrible. I hated that.
Edge of Time, really? I actually like that game.
I actually did not have fun playing that. I don't know why, because I was playing it. Me and my friend were playing it side by side with Shadow Dimensions, and we just both, after playing it for like 2 hours, just came to a conclusion that we did not like that game at all. I don't know
Well,
what.
Shadow Dimensions was a better game. That's true.
Something was off between Edge of Time, and we just never touched the game ever since.
See, I was thinking, the only game I remember that like was kind of disappointing was, you remember the game Lair? It came out like around the beginning of the PS3.
Yeah, that was a launch title, I think.
Was it? Oh, they had the ads. I remember because they had the ads on TV. It looked cool, but when you played it, I mean, I think it heavily relied on the 6-axis controller, and it just wasn't like, it looked cool, but it just wasn't very easy to play. I remember playing it; it just didn't have that much fun with it.
Yeah, and I believe that it was eventually patched out where you could play the game without having the 6X port.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was like, I think, like one of the last patches they did for that game.
oh,
Was
are
they
we
removed the
already
6
on?
axis.
The poor
Are
6-axis.
we already on number 6? Because number 6, that is a question about 6-axis. So if somebody wants to read that off, if we were already on 6-axis.
I'll read it off.
Good.
What did you think of Sony's implementations of the 6-axis in early PS3 titles before it ultimately dropped? It was terrible. Like, the games I actually played it with was Mirror's Edge, Democrat 4. What else? I think
Teams
Uncharted
4
1.
had it?
Yeah, it was for the controlling the camera.
I never knew that.
I did
Yeah,
not enjoy
I didn't know it until I was playing around the options menu, and I'm like, let me try this out. No.
Yeah, the 6-axis thing is, it was, of course, much like many attempts through that system generation, gimmicks and everything like that. It is definitely lackluster, and I don't think it should have been a requirement for certain games, because like with certain games, like the port of No More Heroes 1, for example, you can't play that game without a 6-axis controller. You have to play it with the 6-axis controller. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The game won't boot if you don't have a 6-axis controller. So it's kind of ridiculous. And it does it again. It had probably an aesthetic, but it shouldn't have been mandatory.
You have not had one of the worst gaming experiences of all time until you play Uncharted Drake's Fortune and you try to tilt that fucking grenade with the controller. I hated that so much.
Yeah, I remember that too. You know how many times I blew myself up with a grenade?
Many times due to 6-axis. Also, playing heavily sword with that thing. Oh my god.
Well, that's a Ninja Theory game. They can't develop games to save their life.
I know, but
goddamn,
like spinning a cannon.
I mean, that's why they're owned by Microsoft now, right?
Yeah, but spinning like a cannon with a controller, it's so bad, dude.
Yeah, that or no Mirror's Edge, trying to balance yourself on certain obstacles with the 6-axis. You try and tilt the controller. More often than not, though, your character will just slip off the left side like
Yeah.
nobody cares.
I gave up on that game.
That sounds terrible. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you can turn it off. Thankfully, there's options to actually turn off 6-axis. But
I
tried
broke
it out.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What? I tried it out for one level, and I did not finish that level. I had to go back to the menu and actually turn it off.
Damn.
I keep dying on that one spot because the character keep on off the
edge. There was also the Ninja Gaiden games on PS3 that used 6-axis controls.
See, those did it correctly because in the first game you can actually enhance your magic. In the second game, you can move some titties.
Oh,
and also in the third game.
Oh,
and Dead or Alive 5.
Yep.
Oh shit.
Oh.
So it seems like the only thing this like 6-axis was used for was moving titties. That's the only positive.
Yeah.
And causing lots of aggravating moments.
Oh my god.
See, Team Ninja had the right mindset. Just make it a titty shaker, and we're all good.
You're right about the mouse hat part.
I mean, that's what the people want, I suppose.
I broke a wire. I broke a controller charger with that stupid 6-axis thing with Heavy Rain. It's like, okay, so you're gonna press X, triangle, and square while turning the controller slightly to the left while still holding the back buttons. And then, you know, my hands aren't that great to begin with, and then it's like trying to press all these buttons and turn the controller and use the sticks. And poor Ethan, he got hurt so many times unnecessarily.
Does anyone?
I swear.
Oh my god!
I swear I thought you said 6-axis. I said 6-axis.
6-axis.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Does anyone else think that the triggers are also weird? Like, why are they like this? Where you click them down and they're sort of weird when you click them down.
I didn't mind that because it worked in my favor in most games because I can slide my finger down and get the same results as me just mashing it.
Honestly, it seems more preferable with the way they made them for PS4, where it's like not too slippery.
Better. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are better because how they are though. But given how I use them though, they work more in my favor because I can literally just slide my finger down without using much pressure and still get the same results as me just mashing a button.
Maybe I'm just biased because go ahead.
I was gonna say I have the same thing with like Brandon, where like I actually didn't really mind the triggers. Like I know that's like the one thing that everybody goes to with the DualShock 3, but I don't think the DualShock 3 is as bad as some people make it out to be. With the triggers, it was just an easy way to just slide off like really quick. And I used to play like COD like all the time on my PS3. So like for grenade tosses and shit like that, it was just a very easy way to get that out of the way like super fast. At least in my opinion.
I'm so biased because like hardcore shooters, I swear to fucking God, the wear and tear on those triggers, like my last trigger just broke, and all I did was like toss grenades in Uncharted. Nothing too hard, nothing too amazingly like difficult to do, and it just broke on me, and I'm like, what is this shit? So
that's when you change your button settings. Make the L button, L and R.
Could you? I don't even know if you can do that in the PS3. So I'm
no.
Maybe in some Uncharted games you can like change your grenade and you could change your like shooting buttons, but I do remember that function being in Uncharted 3 at least.
Yeah, the speaking of 6-axis, like I know even though they don't use it in games, it's still a feature present in the DualShock 4. Mm-hmm. It's just used for like very specific things like texting. It's not really used like for anything in particular.
It is used in some gameplay, but there's only very select games that actually use the 6-axis, and I don't remember those games. One of them is Until Dawn. You have to like pointed in front of at least a light part in a certain angle to get the quick time event or something. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't play the game yet, so I can't tell you how it works. But that's definitely one of them that does use 6-axis.
I'm afraid to continue with that game because I'm getting to a point, and I don't want to spoil nothing. You know, since you say you haven't played it, but it's like
Oh, I know
I'm
what happens. I
terrible.
just haven't experienced it
Well,
myself.
I'm terrible with the 6-axis stuff and like just combos in general. Like my timing is awful.
Believe me, the light bar
Ugh.
on the PS4 is no better. That got one of my characters killed in that game, actually. You cannot keep that shit still worth a damn, I'm telling you.
I
Yeah,
thought
you
that
gotta
was
put it on
so
the table.
easy, and then I actually tried it.
Yeah, try
Like, I'm
keeping
genuinely
it still.
afraid to continue because I don't want my boyfriend to get mad at me for screwing up and killing his favorite character.
It's just, I don't know. It's always bothered me. I mean, you could use these new attributes to enhance already previous gameplay, but they always use this to make new gameplay, and it's never really that good. You know what I mean?
I think what Sony's problem is they always try to immerse people into the experience somehow, some way, and it turns out being utter garbage. Like, they tried it with 6-axis, the touchpad thing was not that great on PS4, same for the light bar.
I never use that.
Like, I found it weird when my controller was like talking to me at one point. I was like, how do you turn that off? Like, what is
Renegade,
that?
It's the people talking into your head.
Yo,
Right?
I was like, what is that speaker? Can I please turn that off? And I found out, so I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, I hope they, when it comes to the DualShock 5, they remove that shit, because that was such a useless feature.
It is. It really is.
I
DualShock
swear,
6.
that's probably one of the things that takes up so much of the battery life. And that's another thing, too, like, you're talking about, like, battery life, like, some of the DualShock 3s that are still floating around out there, new and sealed, the battery life on them isn't that great, and you have to actually get replacement batteries. And luckily, replacement batteries are not that hard to come by for the DualShock 3. It's just the actual controller has gotten very hard to come by compared to like the DualShock 2, where you can still get a hold of for like $60-$70 by comparison.
Hey, don't you keep your controller plugged in anyway? That's all I do. Keep my controller plugged in.
Yeah.
Me, depending on the controller,
did.
yeah. Depending on the controller. So.
But like that battery, plug it in.
Yeah, it's just that like with the DualShock 3 though, like because I had recently replaced my old one that I'd used for like 6-7 years with this other one that I barely used because I barely go on my PS3 these days. I like randomly tried to turn on my PS3 controller and it just would not turn on at all, so I had to replace the battery on that. So that kind of sucked. But that being said, I think we're good to move on to number 7. So if we can get Red to read off number 7.
Sure. How did you feel when the PS3 removed PS2 backwards compatibility from the slim models and compensated with a digital PS2 storefront?
Better than nothing.
I mean, okay.
I don't remember, so.
I kind of do. I think the problem was that if you're going to do something like that, number one is greed, because obviously Sony wants to profit off of those PS2 titles that they did put on the digital store. But at the same time, we lost the ability to play any game we wanted on PS2 because I'm pretty sure, 99% positive, that all the games aren't on there from the PS2 library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate too because they could have had a perfect opportunity to release games that were really rare, like for example, Hans Ground or Demento in the other
Kunan.
regions,
Kuon, yeah.
Kuon, or like Roll of Roses for whatever reason, or other really obscure games that you would never see again. That would have been nice to have on the PS3 store, but of course we never had that.
Yeah, they could have put the older Silent Hill games because Silent Hill HD, ain't it, Chief?
What they do in
Not-
Japan, but not here.
In
See-
Japan, you could play Silent Hill 4 on PS2.
That
You
sucks.
can't do that on.
Because
and
Japan makes the game, so it's just like, you know.
From what I've heard, I'm not sure if this is true, but that version of Silent Hill 4 also has English subtitles. So
See,
Really?
I'm the only one that probably lucked out because I did buy like a PS2 copy of Silent Hill 2 and 3, but that still sucks for people who, if they want to play something recent for Silent Hill and they want to go back and play some of the older shit, they might just have to get the HD collection because I believe the prices for the older games are going up now for PS2.
Yeah, I
imagine.
mean, you could even look at certain aspects of certain games, like The Xenosaga trilogy comes to mind, where certain countries didn't get a physical release of Xenosaga 3, and so import prices have gone up for the US version because of that. So it's a pricey game. And then, of course, there's also the Dot Hack quadrilogy. So the Dot Hack games, you could get the first one relatively easily, but part 2, 3, and 4 are typically pretty expensive, 4 especially. And so it's just kind of like one of those things where, you know, the backwards compatibility was a really nice feature to have, and it made it easier so you could continue to play those physical games. But then, you know, compensating with a digital storefront, you're obviously not going to get every single game that people really want to play from those libraries.
Yeah, the only plus... Go ahead.
Like, I was gonna say too, like, I think the problem with like the digital storefront is that, like Daybreaker said, it's like you're compensating for the lack thereof, but that also kind of alienates people who want specific games. And that was kind of the same problem with like the PS4 to PS2 to PS4. Like, there were certain games that were just getting thrown on there that it was like, okay, it's nice that that they're there, but some of these don't make sense because there's like functional HD remasters that didn't have like the Silent Hill problem, and others where it's just like, you know, they're not that well performing by comparison if you're in specific regions. So but going with like the PS3 like list and stuff like that, like I can't tell you how many games I would have preferred to have played on the PS3 with the library that I have, that I just can't because it's just not available.
The only problem, in my opinion, is well, not really a problem, just a plus. The only plus is that this store on the PS3, it is definitely way more varied than it is on PS4. I will give them that much as the benefit of the doubt, because they don't have a lot on PS2 to PS4.
Yeah, because on the PS4, they're like low-key remastering the games to make them more accessible on modern televisions, as opposed to how they did it with the PS3 style of emulation. So
Yeah.
of course that makes sense, but still, like, they just dropped the program without, you know, reaching out to other developers to give it more of a shot.
Yeah, they
You know?
just sort of just left it to die, and that aspect kind of sucks a lot more. Hello, phone.
Look at the bright side though, the PS1 definitely had the best out of the bunch when it comes to like backwards compatibility.
Yeah, they kept that function in for the PS3, so if you get a PS3 now, you'll still be able to play your old PS1 games.
The only thing I will say,
What?
the only thing I will say about PlayStation 1 backwards compatibility, it's very rare, but there are a few games out there that do have issues being played backwards compatible, Like the digital version of Silent Hill 1 actually has a sound glitch at the very final boss fight. It becomes completely overbearing with like this random like buzzing sound that gets constantly louder as the boss fight
For
goes
what
on.
game?
Oh god.
For Silent Hill 1.
Silent Hill 1? Okay.
Yeah, on PS1 for the
Because
digital version, not the
These
physical.
Silent Hill games are like specifically designed for the hardwares that they come out for. So like, for example, Silent Hill 2, like imagine if you play on backwards compatibility, the audio won't be as smooth as it would be on a PS2 because it was designed with the sound chip in mind.
Yeah.
So
There-
future releases though, it doesn't sound as good, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's mostly the issue with Silent Hill 1 when playing it digitally. I have heard that physically playing that game, that issue just doesn't crop up. There is also the Vampire Hunter D game on PlayStation 1. Just emulating that or playing that on the PS3, the game for whatever reason has like delayed cutscenes. Like gameplay wise, I don't notice any like delays, but they're, I could be wrong. The most notable or noticeable thing with that particular game is that cutscenes, the dialogue doesn't get finished and certain like scenes are slightly delayed for some odd reason.
Interesting.
Well, the one thing I can say is, at least outside of those issues, they did keep that in mind for people who do want to go back and play their PS1 games, because I believe if they didn't, I would have to take my discs and emulate them because that would be the only way I could play PS1 games now on a physical machine because I don't have my PS1 currently. It's dead.
Damn.
PS2 also, to my knowledge, it does have some like graphical issues on some games, but for the most part, just like PS1, it works as intended. From my experience, I know that Shinobi has some visual issues, and also Warriors Orochi 1, because that's the only Warriors Orochi game on PS2 that you can actually play on PS3. Has some glitches with some of the textures and assets, but otherwise it works as intended. That being said, I think we've kind of dragged out this particular question long enough, so unless if somebody else had anything to say on this topic, who wants to read off the next question?
Anyone? No one? 1, 2, 3.
I got it.
Okay.
This is the era when PlayStation started implementing online passes. These passes were treated as a key to unlock multiplayer games for $10. How did you feel about them?
Garbage.
Trash, man. Like, I couldn't play with my friends on certain games, so like, really? Because I got my games through other means like use or like, from rental, and you can't even get the online pass because, for example, Assassin's Creed Revelations, I got that from GameFly. I couldn't play online after the free trial was up because of to get online pass, so I couldn't play with my friends with Revelations. I had to wait until 3 and 4 to continue playing with my guys on PSN before they drop Assassin's Creed altogether. But that's not fun.
Well, wasn't this their way of trying to get back at the used game market? Because this, honestly, like, you could find a code new, but you couldn't find it used anywhere. And that was the real problem with this $10 code. It's like, okay, they sell them on the storefronts sometimes, you have to buy them to play these certain games, and I thought it was bullshit. I think it continued for like a few years, and then they just dropped it entirely.
I got lucky with Tekken Tag Tournament 2 because I got it used, but the code still worked.
Oh, that's really lucky.
Yep.
I know one of the games
this.
that I know that had it was Ninja Gaiden 3 for its multiplayer. I didn't play that game as of yet. That's the only Ninja Gaiden outside of Yaiba that I have not played as far as...
Don't play Yaiba.
As far as like the modern Ninja Gaiden games are concerned, that's like the only ones that I haven't played, but that was one of the games that had it. But I remember that was like one of the things that like people were not happy about, and that died like really fucking quick because people were just not taking that. But most of the games that I personally played outside of like generally speaking, when I did play COD, when I wasn't playing COD, I was playing like a bunch of single player games, so online really wasn't like a huge deal for me at that time.
Okay, so there are a total of 32 online passes on combining with PS3 and PS Vita.
Is is Uncharted 3 one of them?
Yes, Uncharted 3, Last of Us, Little Bit Planet on PS3, the karting game, Little Bit Planet Vita, Ninja Gaiden, Soul Sacrifice, the Madden 13, Saints Row 4, God of War Ascension. I have that ironically because I got it digitally. That's in Mass Effect 3. Saints Row 3, I believe, as well.
Jeez.
Need for Speed Most Wanted. That I said that you got already. Hot Shot Golf. I already a little bit playing. Ratchet and Clank and Army 2. That's just a few. I see on the page right now. Even DOA on the PS3 had an online pass.
Bulletstorm also had an online pass, I believe.
Yep, Bulletstorm. I'm looking at that.
Yeah, I think the only ones I
3.
had that possessed it was Uncharted 3 and Last of Us, because it is in the Last of Us booklet in the back. So, but I got that new, so I'm kind of glad I didn't have to deal with that bullshit.
All right.
But I feel sorry for people who buy used games and they try to either mess with the online and see what happens, and they realize they have to pay $10 more in order to unlock that damn key. So I'm really glad they don't do it now. But then again, it's like, okay, it kind of leads to the next question, but I don't think it'll be brought up. They did sort of made PSN like pay for, so they follow like Xbox's model and shit, which I still kind of don't like.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna be honest here though. People say like they should have done this a long time ago, so that way they can improve the servers. I'm gonna tell you this right now. It doesn't matter if you charge for it or use it for free. If the servers are bad from the start, the servers are gonna be bad throughout its entire lifespan. Look at Xbox Live. Regardless of how much more stable it was to the PS3 servers, it still went down. It was still susceptible to DDoSes and hacks and whatnot. It was no exception. Even Steam is though, and Steam arguably has the best infrastructure out of all these other platforms, and it is free.
Yeah, no infrastructure is perfect. Steam getting DDoS, that kind of surprised me when that happened. Or they had like a credit card scare or something. I forget what it was.
Something like that.
But I know it happened and everyone was freaking out. Better change your credit card information and take it off of there now before you actually lose all your shit. So
yeah, like
that's why you take it off. That's why you take it off after you use it for like a purchase, like.
Or you just tell them you don't want to save your
gift card.
Yeah.
Or that use a gift card that's a throwaway, because that way, you know, even if the credit card gets like hacked or whatever, you know, they only getting like a couple of dollars, assuming if that's that much. So
that or a couple of cents, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so or it's expired and they don't realize it, so but yeah, I remember that point in time. Like I said, I wasn't really too big into doing multiplayer stuff, although I think that was around the time that Black Ops 1 was really big, so it kind of sucked because I think at that time they had the new map pack on PS3 come out and people couldn't play it, so that really sucked. But as far as like with the faulty online environment, like people gave like the PS3 online a lot of shit, but you know, a lot of people have to understand too, you didn't have to fucking pay for it. So,
Doom, you might want to segue into the next question.
So, you know, that being all said, like, let me just read off number 10 and let's get into that. Despite some of the issues with the PS3, would you still recommend it to newcomers to go check out the PS3 and the library along with the console itself? Describe why. So, like, you know, online aside, and we kind of talked about that, yeah, I would recommend it. Like, it's really great for, like, a lot of the HD remasters that it had.
Hold on, Dom.
You know.
Did you skip question number 9?
I thought we read number 9.
No, I said we need to segue into it because you were on it.
Oh, okay.
Good job, Dom.
Okay. Derp. Number 9. One of the main complained things back in the day was the PS3's online infrastructure, which led to the giant hack near release of SOCOM 4 with a faulty online environment, but free PSN. PS Plus was not required. How do you feel about the matter? What was the takeaway, good or bad for you?
Okay, now, sorry, SOCOM 4 was a trash game, so not much of a loss there. Second of all, like the hack, it was not just like I can't play it though. It wasn't like an isolated incident though. It was like much broader than just simply I can play online, you know. So
yeah, I think the reason it's like that is because it was down for like weeks, and I think at that point, SOCOM 4 is the only game I remember that had its launch butchered because of the hack, even though the game sucked ass.
Not just that though, Mortal Kombat 11 came out around that time as well because my friend couldn't redeem his code for some stuff. I think it was online pass as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my stuff included.
Oh, you know what? I think GTA 5, because when it was out on PS3, was impacted by that too, and they extended the like the holiday event that they had for the online so that people could actually experience it.
Yeah, can I say now?
That was another game.
Can I say off record that the Lizard Squad is a bunch of assholes? they ruined my Christmas.
Wait, Lizard Squad was involved in the hack?
He keeps cutting out.
Wait, they weren't? I thought it was
no,
them.
that's a PS4. No, this is a different thing altogether.
Oh, so
With
they
the
hacked.
Sony hack.
Yeah, so they hacked PS4. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, the fact that they easily got DDoS and Sony tried to put in this bullshit protection program where it's like, oh, if you want more protection on your PlayStation, you got to pay $50. I'm like,
What is that exactly? Like, what is that protection plan, program, whatever?
I think if you're a part of it, it protects all your information and it gives you like an extra layer of security in case your stuff gets lost, like it did in the 3-week span that it did. Some people said they lost their credit card information, debit card, all this shit. So basically, the only thing they could do is just give. I think they tried to give us like a free game or something. I think it was Infamous. I remember this vividly too. I think it was Infamous and something else.
Oh yeah.
You could choose from a couple. It was like you got
return
like
package.
two free PS3 games, and I think like you could choose like a PSP game or something like that.
Yeah.
People were not happy.
Yeah, it
about
was PSP and PS3,
Oh, yeah.
and also, you got PS Plus for like I think a month. Free month. PS
Yeah,
Plus?
yeah, I got it here. It says PS3 and PS4 owners get 2 free games per system, 30 days of PlayStation Plus, and it said it would offer subscribers of PlayStation Plus a year of free identity theft protection.
Damn, they really offered a lot. Holy crap.
See, the biggest thing is though, a lot of the games that they were offering people already had.
Oh
So-
yeah.
No, I didn't actually, because I didn't have Infamous or Little Big Planet or Pursuit Force, and I forgot the other game I got for free on PSP.
I think I got Wipeout and Little Big Planet 1.
Yeah, let's see. So they had, for PS3, you had Dead Nation, Infamous, Little Big Planet, Ratchet and Clank, and Wipeout HD.
What
For
about the
PSP?
PSP?
PSP, it was Little Big Planet, PSP, Mod Nation Racers, Pursuit Force, and Killzone Liberation.
Yeah, that's what I got. Killzone and Pursuit Force. Pursuit Force is really fun, but holy cow, it's hard. That game is hard.
I mean, it's not that bad what they're offering. I guess it depends.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad deal, but I think it's the only thing they could do back then was to take away great with the deal and free, online. I mean, I like the free online. That's one of the reasons why I wasn't really fond of the 360 was because you actually had to pay for live. But, there was that argument of people making like, oh, well, if you have live, we have a better infrastructure and we have a better thing than PS3, and their shit went down too, so...
Well, the problem with lives too is that what other subscription services you have, like Netflix, at the time when Don Matrick was in charge, though, you had to pay lives in order to watch your subscription services.
Yeah, so imagine paying, like, gold for Netflix.
Ugh.
But, yeah, no, not gonna fly with me.
Yeah, it's and going off of like just what I was saying earlier too, like hack aside and all that, I don't recall the online infrastructure being like that bad. Like I think it was mostly just a lot of like fucking console fanboys just bitching about, oh well, this isn't my console, so it doesn't run as good as my console. It's like, yeah, and I remember too, like right around the hack, people were like bitching about not being able to play online, and I'm just like, whatever, I play offline anyway, so.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. Like I was playing Uncharted 2 like a lot online, and I really didn't get a lot of lag or anything when I was playing it. My internet was like fine, so it was down for like a couple of weeks. It was down a couple of weeks. So I did other stuff, and I went back to it.
I discovered games that I probably would never have played when it was down for those 3 weeks. I played freaking Flower.
Oh,
Nice.
that one 6-axis game.
Like, yeah.
And like I saw it and I was like, and then it went down. I was like, well, I'll get it anyway because it's really cheap. So I was like, whatever. And the online went down. I was like, well, I guess I can play this now.
Yeah, the only thing that got me depressed was not playing Assassin's Creed Brotherhood online, because that and Uncharted 2 are the games I played the most in that year.
Oh yeah, Brotherhood's beta. I remember playing that. That was good.
Oh, I had the full game with the beta.
Oh yeah, I had to deal with the beta, but I do remember playing it, and it was really fucking good.
I don't think I was playing any game actively online at the time when the hack happened, but I do remember I was playing Transformers War for Cybertron, and I had gotten like half of the trophies, but since the PSN was down, I couldn't sync my trophies. And so when my system yellow lighted and I got another system, I was back down to like only 4% of the trophies because I never got to sync the trophies up. So that was like the only downside to the hack for me in any case.
Did anybody else have anything to say on this, or are we good to move on?
Nope, I'm personally done.
Yeah, let's
Alrighty,
go.
Ren, you want to read off the last one?
Hold on, someone was saying something?
I don't think so. I was just saying that if you wanted to read off the last one.
Oh, sure, no problem then. So despite some of the issues with the PlayStation 3, would you still recommend newcomers to go back and check out the PS3 library and the console itself? Describe why. I mean, yeah, if you're interested into some of the PS3 exclusives that you aren't able to play on the PS4 because they tried to do this bullshit with PS Now and making you pay for streaming services playing PS3 games, and that's not gonna fly. If you want to deal with like none of the cloud streaming nonsense, then I would suggest picking up like a PS3 for cheap. I got mine for like $100 back when it was, I think 3 years ago I got mine for like 100, so I'm pretty sure they're even cheaper now if you decide to get like a Slim or something.
I do agree with that. If you are interested in getting one, you just might as well search up the exclusive for the PS3. At this point, most of the games have been either remastered or available to any other places. So if none of the exclusive really interests you, there's no point in you getting a PS3 at this point. You might as well just get a PS4 or just get the game other.
That is a fair point, but I have a counter argument to that. Because for starters, you can play other PS1 titles digitally and PS2 titles digitally, which you cannot do on the PS4. Now, of course, if you're not interested in the retro style of the PlayStation side, then yeah, that is like a fair argument. But still, there's still good games on the PS3 that you cannot play on the PS4 regardless. How many they got remastered?
Yeah,
like other remasters, for example.
Yeah, if you look for Resistance or MGS4, which I don't think is on the PS4, then you're probably not gonna find those. Yeah. So
it's a lot better than playing for PlayStation Now, anyway.
Whatever you do, don't do that. That is not an option in my opinion. It's just not a good compromise. So if you want to play those games, you can find them for cheap, or use the PlayStation Store and see what you can find on the PS3.
I pretty much share the same sentiment. I think with the prices are now, most PS3s you could probably get fairly cheaply. Most PS3 games, there's nothing too obscure that was super expensive. I know like some of the more sought after stuff is like the Yakuza titles. Like I think Yakuza 3 alone is going for about $30 complete, but that's still not as expensive as and of course like I'm probably going to cut you off and answer what you were saying, Dom, but like that's going to change probably with the collection, with the remastered collection coming out.
Yeah, because you can play Yakuza 3 remaster right now. Granted, if you imported the games, you could have been playing them way sooner. But now, if you pre-order it digitally, you can play Yakuza 3 now, and then as Yakuza 4 and 5 come out, 4 I think comes out in October, and then 5 comes out in February, which is when the physical release comes out, like 3 days before my birthday, no less, which is ironic. But at least for Yakuza's case, it's kind of irrelevant. Although I was gonna say that importing the HD collection and Kenzen might be worthwhile for the PS3 if you're into like importing stuff, because the PS3 is region free, which was something that the 360 for the most part was not.
Yeah, and on top of that, the PSN network, like the PlayStation Marketplace, is still open for the PS3 at the time. And there's a lot of good stuff on there. There's a lot of good digital content you can't get any other way. So that's also an option. And as well, I would also definitely recommend, if you're wanting a convenient way to play PlayStation 1 games, physically on a HDMI TV. That is the optimal way to go. Most of the Slims, I think all of the Slims, have basically full backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 1 library through physical discs.
All
So-
versions of the PS3 have backwards compatibility with the PS1 via disc.
Right. I'm saying because I know that with certain models of the fat model PS3, the backwards compatibility wasn't full like it is now. Like certain games that I owned couldn't play on the fat model PS3 but can play on the slim model. So
that is true, because if I remember correctly, there's certain, after like the full package, their launch one, after a certain time they start degrading the quality of the PS2 backwards compatibility, so only like a handful of discs can be played on it over its course of time, and then they of course got rid of it.
Yeah, so it's a much easier and more convenient method than getting the PlayStation Classic, in my opinion. Especially considering there are a lot of games in the PS1 library that still hold up today. So it can be a twofer for some people, but I still think just because of price and just it's not a hard system to get into because it's not reached the point where it's considered quote unquote retro. So games are still fairly common to get a hold of and fairly cheap.
Yeah.
Can't you also get a lot of PSP games from there as well?
You can download them through. Yeah, you could download them through the store and then put
Yeah.
them onto your PSP that way. You could do
Yeah.
that.
Same.
That's how I
thing
got a
for
lot from
Vita
there.
as well. Yeah, it's a storefront for like all those things. Ironically enough, the PS4 doesn't have that, which is unfortunate, but it's understandable, all things considered.
So just to kind of wrap things up, I would say that I would recommend the PS3. Granted it had its issues back in the day, but for the most part, it's definitely worth checking out, especially for some of the games that haven't been ported yet. And as I was mentioning earlier, if you're really interested in like importing, to my knowledge, there are some games that just never came out in the West, as per usual with every generation, but there's also things that were digital only here in the US, and then maybe vice versa in some other countries, but they have a physical release in those other countries where you wouldn't think that they would. Like I think what was one of the games, like Way of the Samurai 4, you could only get it digitally here, but in the UK, but in the UK you can get the physical edition of that game. So it really just varies, but I would definitely recommend it as a great way to get into like importing stuff, and also backwards compatibility for PlayStation 1 games, I think. But with that being said, I think that pretty much wraps it up. So we're gonna do some outros. Ren, if you want to go ahead and take care of that.
Well, before I outro myself, anyone else have any final thoughts? Anything else to say, or we outroing?
All I can think of is the PS3 avatars. They had a lot more variety than what I've seen recently on the PS4.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like,
It's the only thing I could really think of.
It is cool that you can sort of like put your avatar up on Facebook and change it, and it'll change on your PS4, but I just kind of wish I had custom avatars. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet, like integrate it fully, but it's whatever at this rate. So my outros, you can find me on Twitter at RenOperative_. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. I will be trying to release this podcast soon, and also I am doing a retrospective on Tenchu. I'm almost finished with the second game. Once I finish that, I'll start working on Wrath of Heaven, so look forward to that.
What about Return from Darkness, the Xbox version?
I will be talking about that when I talk about Wrath of Heaven. So everyone stay tuned for that.
So I'll go next. My name is biodevil_dom. You can find me on YouTube and on Twitter under the same thing. I do have a review in the works with Captain Chaos for Resident Evil 5, and once that's done, I'll be uploading both my Onimusha and Resident Evil 5 review. I'm just also waiting for a commission on that for the Onimusha review. And then aside from that, I am working on an opinion piece for open world games, so stay tuned for that.
Cool.
Who wants to go next?
Should
I guess
outro.
I'll go next.
I was just gonna say outro Brandon since he's laughing, but I guess you can take it.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at Red Error, and you can also find me on YouTube with the same name. And currently, I just started doing Arkham Asylum for a couple days ago. I started doing that, so that'll be the project of the channel for a couple of days.
That's ironic because I think it's the 10th anniversary of Arkham Asylum right now.
No.
Oh, that's right.
Did you look at that?
Yeah, they I think Rocksteady tweeted it out like a couple of days ago. So that's very ironic. I might go back to that game as well on live stream because I just love me some damn Batman.
I did it recently, a couple of weeks ago with Arkham Asylum. Beat the game on PS4 live.
Yeah, that game
I
is
might do City soon.
priceless. That game is priceless. It's really good.
You know, the ironic thing is that 10 years ago, on the 16th, I set up my YouTube channel.
Hey,
So,
congratulations,
Wow.
you old fuck.
Yeah, well, you were like, what, 14?
I was like 12 or 13 when I first made my YouTube
Jesus.
channel, so
So
if you've been sticking around since I was 12, you've seen how much I've changed.
all
I'm
right,
your real dad now.
time to go back and watch Dom's old videos.
They're not up anymore.
Well, of
I
course.
have to feel them archive.
My old videos are still up. If you want to hop into Rabbit with me sometime, we can cringe together.
But
Alright, I'm gonna get my outro.
God.
Alright, you can find me at noneyourbusiness.com. It's kidding. You can find me at- Okay, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Immortalizer Brando. I have a YouTube channel, but I'm not finalizing the stuff for that yet, so don't look for it yet. Fucking scrubs.
all right then. So AJ, where can we find you, buddy?
All right. I got a YouTube channel. If it's not fun, because you know, if it's not fun, why bother? Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm working on right now a couple videos working on old video game commercials. Are they trash? Are they pass? It's fun.
Nice.
It was.
I mean, a
I'll
friend
have
of
to
mine
check
recorded
that
some.
out.
It's funny.
interesting.
Some are really good. Others are like, holy fuck, this is so goddamn 90s.
No, some of the Sega attack ads on Nintendo are just really super bad.
It's funny
but
because I found that as hilarious. It's like it actually worked. Like Sega does what Nintendo don't. And nobody knew what the fuck blast processing was, so I'm like,
But it was like Zoom blast.
yeah,
I don't know.
everyone was on it, so it's weird marketing, but somehow it worked for me.
How about
Still-
putting like the bit rate on your console like in big bold text?
16-bit.
Oh, what was that?
Yeah.
That Atari Jaguar commercial? Which one has more numbers?
Oh,
right, that's 64.
Yeah.
Oh god.
My favorite classic commercial is still the fucking, I think it's the first commercial for the Sega Saturn, where it's got that weird dude and he's all white. He's like some bald dude talking about the Saturn and everything. Oh fuck. Fond memories, because that was on the Play Choice disc for that system.
Play choice.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds, never mind.
But Daybreaker, what's your outro?
You guys can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, at Daybreaker Rain. I do streams. Most of my YouTube stuff is just stream archives nowadays. So yeah, you can check me out there if you like a little bit of everything. I play just a little bit about everything. I try to do different stuff every now and then. I'm currently in the process of working on getting retro stuff set up. So I'm looking at a retro tink and looking to modify some of my old consoles so I could start playing those in really high quality. So yeah, and just for the record, for the record, this podcast was not promoted by Chad Warden. So
Oh my god,
surprised it
The
didn't come up.
PS triple.
I'm
Did
surprised
not come up once. So
no one brought up that
The
joke.
PS triple. Okay. Ain't nobody wanna play with no dildo.
What the
What is the Wii? It's a dildo.
Ow.
Tell him about Devil May Cry.
Devil
my-
may run up and.
That guy was the greatest PlayStation 3 troll of all time. I'm telling you, that's so great.
Yeah.
The fact that people actually believed him too, that was great.
Matt Bodie.
You people can't even afford the PS3. Chad Warden wipes his ass with $600. $600 ain't shit. Oh man, that
who
was
else
funny.
didn't do outros before we wrap things
I don't
up?
think I did.
Zion.
I'm CheonCase352. I have that's my YouTube, and 3582 on Twitch because I, like I said last time, I messed up on it. But I do a lot of I did a series of Kingdom Hearts on my channel, and now I'm doing a lot of like random gaming with friends videos because people seem to enjoy that.
All right, and I think that's a wrap. So thank you to everyone who came out tonight and talked about the PS3. I don't know what our next project is going to be. I know look at Chad Warden in the chat. Jesus Christ, let's throw up my concentration. But I will let you guys know as soon as we do something else. Maybe we might talk about more NES stuff, SNES, because we haven't talked about a lot of Nintendo stuff outside of the GameCube. So that'll be something to do at least. So
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot about that, so it'd be nice.
yeah, so we're signing out. This is the Infinite Ammo Syndicate. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and once again, take care.
Follow
Later,
Ren on the
Sony always
Playroom.
wins.
Follow Ren on the Playroom.
Yeah,
Sony always wins.
yeah, that's my Pornhub account. Yeah.